It's one thing to be able to point at the moral decay of the West, to point out and predict the inevitable fall of a society bloated by decadence and decay, and to point out that it is a lack of faith that has led us to this bizarre precipice on which we find ourselves. I know, I've done it myself, but I was wrong. You see, we haven't lost faith at all, not as a whole anyway. We have in fact adopted something new, dark and very insidious. Where once we would look to the churches with their towering steeples, or a particularly aesthetic stone or bit of tree for the pagans amongst you, now we look to the towering monoliths of greed and enslavement, their upper echelons dominated by hook-nosed faceless bankers who determine your value by what money they can take out of your family's mouth, as a tithe to the corpulent capitalist deity who tells you that the pursuit of earthly wealth is freedom as it clamps golden shackles around your wrists. But this is just one of their pantheon of deities. Next comes the false god of the individual, the self, the sower of discord and loneliness. It tells you that it is okay to be whatever the fuck you want to be, that you are unique and special, to indulge your hedonism, indulge your most base desires, and isolate yourself from any attempt at striving towards a future in which you play a role. Your arbitrary uniqueness is all that matters, because a society with a unique vision striving towards a similar goal has never achieved anything. And in turn this feeds the false god of democracy, the apparent cornerstone of a West that was for a very long time, in fact mostly feudal monarchies. But never mind, in this dark new pantheon, the truth means about as much as an Israeli promise. But you, the individual, you insignificant little speck in an apparently ever-expanding universe, are the master of your fate. Your very own God. Your vote can change the world, except it won't, because the game was fucking rigged from the start. Where's that wall, America, and why the fuck are we still in the EU? At least fascism is honest about your individual power or lack thereof. But that is the devil to this religion of free thought and liberty, an enemy to be scorned and driven out by the social justice exorcists. Then there is the cult of atheism, who hold science to be their supreme deity, a grand creator and destroyer of all we can see and not see, benevolent and always leading us into a new period of progress and enlightenment. Except of course that it hasn't, although it has created some exceptionally fanatical adherents. Now you might think this is to some degree hyperbole, until you actually start challenging some of the many tenets, and it is quite telling to see the reactions. The adherents of capitalism will balk at you and accuse you of being a communist the minute you tell them that a man is more than what he earns, and maybe, just maybe, consumerism can be toned down a bit. Or he may even accuse you of wanting to make everybody poor. And good Lord help you if you dare question who owns these robber banks that have the power to drag supposedly free nations to their knees, or pull them into unwinnable wars. What about the individualists, when you tell them that men have a duty to be more than their mere lifespan, to create and nurture something that will last for their children? Watch them shit their rainbow-coloured butt plugs onto the floor, when you tell them that successful societies expect people to adhere to a moral standard above the law, as they accuse you of being whatever brand of totalitarian the corrupted education system has told them is bad this week on their gender studies university course, to accuse you of hate for not wanting them to pursue a life of sin, depravity and vice, and to actually have a shot at purgatory, because let's face it lads, very, very few of us are going straight to heaven. But what about science? That thing that lifted us out of the Dark Ages, which never fucking happened by the way, but I won't go into that too much here. That driving force of progress, enlightenment, knowledge and understanding. A definitive solution to the origins of life and the universe itself, with definitive answers that don't rely on interpretation or perspective. Surely that must be incorruptible, right? No, absolutely fucking not. See, the problem with science is the answers rely as much on faith as the religions atheists try to use it to discredit. Occam's razor states that all things being equal, the simplest explanation is usually the correct one, which tends to confuse the atheists who use it as an argument against the divine creator, given that we have no fucking idea how the first prokaryotic cell formed from a weird ooze of carbons and sugars, then gained the ability to replicate, and eventually became the mitochondria of eukaryotic cells, which replicated and formed the first multicelled organisms, etc. Or that, in a supposedly infinite universe, which should support millions of habitable planets, that we have not yet been eaten by the fucking Tyranids or colonised by aliens. Why a trace of organic molecule on Mars is life, but a tiny baby in a woman's womb is a choice. These are all things that keep us looking to the skies at long dead stars, and looking past the face of God, assured by the priests of the cult of science and atheism that there is no creator. But there are likely little green men who like to do weird anal shit to cows and crackheads. And all of this is designed to complicate things past the understanding of the average cockney peasant like you or me, to elevate these men of science beyond question or doubt, in much the same way they accuse our priests of doing. And what about medicine? Curing horrific diseases is all well and good, but there's been a slow creep of politics and insidious agendas into medicine. We have all heard the scandal of Planned Parenthood selling the body parts of little babies for money, the push for assisted suicide, which starts as a call to help the terminally ill pass peacefully and with dignity, until of course you wind up with a case of the woman who went to Dignitas for fucking tinnitus, or the advance in gender confirmation surgery, allowing women who have become men to breastfeed, or using parts of the colon to make a vagina which resembles an exploded steak wrapped in a toilet roll tube. It's too easy to play God when you forget that there is one, and that you forget that you are going to seriously piss him off. Observe the vitriol with how these adherents respond when you challenge them, all the while daring to call themselves enlightened and free-thinking. Ask your average atheist to give you an explanation of evolution beyond monkey became human because reasons, and see how little those who purport to know everything actually know. Watch how close the priests of the Enlightenment skirt towards the truth, without ever actually revealing it. Ask Stefan Molyneux to explain who some of the people pulling the strings are. Ask Jordan Peterson, once he has finished crying and shitting himself from the Xanax withdrawals, how atomised individuals can expect to ever rival the accomplishments of men with a vision of race and culture far exceeding their own narrow scope. And then you will gradually realise that in the eyes of these people, this new religion and these false gods, that we are heretics, and very soon they will have the power to persecute us for it. This may sound far-fetched, but remember this. Men need faith, or at the very least something to believe in. Something greater than themselves. It's no coincidence that our little corner of the right sees religion as an instrumental part of our return to a better society, be they Catholics, agnostics, or even filthy pagans. And our elites know this too. They know there's a power beyond our comprehension. It's no coincidence that the cabals conduct their worship in shady grottos and closed rooms, because the entity they worship is far more tangible than the gods they have manufactured for the masses. And that entity, of course, is fucking Satan. Sorry I haven't done anything for a while, lads. Life is a bit complicated at the moment, and I'm genuinely in not much of a position to be doing more stuff until I finally get moved out and settled down, which is surprisingly fucking expensive. And nor do I have access to my microphone or the ability to really spend much time with editing, so if I do upload again in the near future, prepare for it to be rougher than the badger's arse. I am still here, and I am very grateful for you for bearing with me, so until next time, take care. And remember, as a great man once said, the truth fears no investigation.